Hello, good morning. Uh, this is Shankar Swaminathan from New Jersey. Today I am here to announce the launch of a new channel for the purpose of talking about things that affect all of us in our day to day lives. Um, Issues quite common to all of us, issues that keep bothering us, um, issues that may uh, turn into problems for which we would try to find solutions, but more often than not, finding it so difficult to actually find solutions, possibly because of lack of clarity. So, before I go ahead further, I would think it may not be out of place for me to say a few words about myself, about my background, experiences, etc. I have been in the field of psychology and counseling for almost close to 15 years, uh, fully employed as a mental health counselor, as well as having my own personal practice through my website. I also possess relevant qualifications in psychology, counseling, HR management, and a few others. Having lived at different times in my life in different environments, such as I was actually in India for quite a long time. I have been in Australia in the 90s to do my masters, and I have lived in Canada for close to about 12 13 years, and for the past 5 years I have been in the United States. I have also lived for a short while in Dubai. So this has given me a rich exposure to varied cultures. When I say cultures, this would also mean, to some extent, the opportunity to understand various cultural sensitivities, cultural sensibilities of people, and how to get along. So, for now, that's basically about me. Now, let me actually start with a question here before I go ahead with my presentation, to give you an idea about the objectives of the site, of the channel, etc. So, the question is, are you unhappy with yourself? If so, why? What are your long term objectives in life? Short term objectives in life? And what are you doing, or what have you been doing to towards towards fulfilling those objectives, achieving those objectives in the short and long term? When this question is posed to people, uh, with all due respects, I mean, I'm not being disrespectful here at all to anyone, but it's in general terms that I'm actually talking. When this question is posed to people, people most would be a little perplexed. That would set them thinking. Because the reason is, these are questions people would feel that they are unhappy, but they may not know it. It's actually a subtle subconscious feeling that they may have. About the long term, short term objectives, they would know the concept, but they might not have actually given serious thoughts to it. So, unless you know where you want to reach, you will not know the path. That's what it is for all of us. Unless you know the direction, you will not know the path to proceed. So, it's in your in the process of accomplishing whatever that you have set for yourself as goals, life goals, and attainment of your objectives. The path is very important, the direction is very important, so for which one needs to have clarity of thought. They should kind of know themselves well too, so that they know their strengths, they know their weaknesses, and what to avoid, what not to avoid, what they could do, what they may find a little more difficult to do, all of these things. So, quite a few parameters are related to all this. So, the idea behind this channel is to be able to discuss all of this. Unfortunately, as the YouTube, the way it is designed, I'm sorry, the way YouTube is designed and structured, there is only one person who can talk and the others could only respond. But there is definitely an opportunity here, avenue here, scope for people to respond through their comments and record their thoughts. Mine is only a kind of sounding board. When I initiate the topic, I am sounding people. I am trying to come up with my imagination whatever topics that I think may be useful to people. So, throw the ball in the people's court, the listener's court. Now, upon listening, it could be improved upon. Everyone will be free to say whatever they would like to, as long as it fulfills the norms and the parameters set by YouTube itself within boundaries, without affecting anybody else's sensibilities. So they can comment. They could also possibly relate to their own life experiences and provide feedback, which could be hopefully followed up by discussions, supplementaries, questions. Listeners would be absolutely free to suggest ideas to me, to suggest improvements in whatever I am saying, to even disagree with me and contest. They could post supplementaries. If some feel like getting in touch with me personally, they could do so through my email contact, which is being provided there in YouTube. So that's basically the purpose of starting this channel. So essentially, it aims to provide a lot of outlet, aims to improve the clarity for people to take the right decisions, to choose the right path, to know what they need, what they don't need, what is not really so important for them in life. Because there are a lot of times that we think there are many things important for us which may not be really true. Luxuries are now seen as essentials for one's existence. There was a time when there was no internet, nothing, particularly where I originally belonged to in India. There were only a couple of channels, even TV. So those were the times when technology was not so advanced. But today, a lot of things that would have been seen as luxuries in the olden days have become essentials. If we don't have an iPhone on hand, we would feel really miserable. So the perspectives have changed quite a lot. The needs have changed quite a lot. The wants have changed quite a lot. Now, again, when I talk about wants and needs, there are a lot of things that only people would want, but they may not need. There are a lot of things that they would need, but they won't understand the importance of wanting them or seeking them. So, for example, if someone needs to have a luxury car, wants to have a luxury car, it may not be really needed, but he wants it. But when he doesn't get it, the person is disappointed, and that leads to unhappiness. Again, let me also say a few words about unhappiness here and the difference between happiness and peace. Happiness essentially is ephemeral. It doesn't last long. For example, if you buy a luxury car, as I said, the happiness may last for about a month or 2 months or about 6 months. After that, it becomes like any other car. Okay, you don't actually see it as a luxury. But can you do without it? When you get used to it, it may be difficult. So when you actually buy it, when you go in for something which is actually a luxury and not an essential need thing, people want something, they confuse it to be needs. So we will see. I'm just giving a glimpse of whatever that are likely to come over time here in this channel, and the kind of discussions that we are likely to have. There are innumerable topics, innumerable things that we can talk about, which I definitely propose to do, trying to enrich the channel as we go along with the active participation of listeners, hopefully. So we could talk about relationship issues. We could talk about problems that crop up due to economic issues faced by economic hardships faced by people. Relationship issues. When I say relationship issues, it could be relationship issues between husband and wife, married couple, father and son, adolescent son and the parent, teacher and student, employer, employee. So these are some of the things that we could talk about as we go along. There is one more thing which I would like to say before I conclude this short presentation here. Just a opening shot right now. There are issues and issues in life. There are problems and problems. Issues we can afford to procrastinate upon. We can even afford to ignore. We don't really have to consider them at all. You can close your eyes, look the other way. Issues will just remain. Because there may not be any compelling need for the issues to be resolved then and there. Time may not be the essence there. But in the case of problems, there is a compelling need for people to resolve the problems. Because problems pose a lot of pressure. When I say a lot of pressure, it's a kind of emotional pressure. You need to solve it, otherwise you are going to lose something. Yes. And you are going to lose something intangible too, like happiness. You are going to lose your happiness if you don't resolve your problem. So there is a compelling need for you to address the problem, resolve it. So that's the difference between issues and problems. Now, issues, it's always better to be addressing the issues in time, so that the issues do not exist anymore. Otherwise, there is always a possibility that the issues turn into problems when it causes headache for all of us. So these are some of the things. So likewise, we can actually talk quite a lot, so further, based on the comments and the responses that I get, the channel is definitely bound to become a little more interesting. Not just interesting, it would be enriched further. It would be found useful by people, by listeners, by one and all. It may be possible to suggest a resolution for the problems here, solutions for the problems people face. It may not be possible for the channel itself to be able to initiate steps towards the resolutions of problems. That will be up to the individual, as it is obvious. Thank you very much. I do look forward to being in further touch with you and discuss things useful for all of us, beneficial for all of us, beneficial even to me as an initiator, because nobody knows everything. And psychology, in the case of psychology, mental health, this is a very vast subject. Not everyone can, regardless of the extent of reading, education, experience, whatever, there would always be scope for personal improvement. No one can claim to have completely mastered the subject of psychology. That's basically the beauty of it. But as you learn more, as you understand more, as you gain in perspective, you do become better as a person. So it's going to be mutually beneficial, and I do derive personal satisfaction. And if it's going to be useful for a handful of people, I'm going to be more than satisfied. Okay? Thank you very much. Wish you all the very best. We'll keep in touch. God bless.